this is a player who maybe just had a lot of injuries, or maybe it's one of your favorite players, and I totally understand that. A lot of my favorite players and teams have done some dumb stuff in the past, but during the time when they made the signing, maybe it was a good thing. It was a position they needed. Maybe they're a team that doesn't get a lot of free agents, and they sort of just went all in on one guy, and it didn't really turn out so well. So keep that in mind. I'm just going to be ripping through some names. These aren't going to be ranked in any way. We're just going to be sort of chatting and talking about them also. If you can think of any yourself, make sure you obviously comment down below, and also comment down below who you think in today's NBA has the most lucrative contract. Let me know, because people are getting paid big bucks to play basketball. Okay. Let's take a little look here. I remember when this first contract sort of came around, and this was sort of like the first of the sort of big buck dollar amount of money for a certain player, and it is in 2001, Allen Houston got a 6-year, $100 million contract from the New York Knicks. At one point in time, Allen Houston was a phenomenal player. I'm not entirely sure if he made an all-star team. He was definitely a borderline all-star type player for a lot of his career. When he did go to the Knicks, it wasn't bad, but definitely not a sort of $100 million contract type player, if I do remember this. It says here a knee injury ended his career in 2005. He signed that 6-year contract in 2001, though. That's pretty bad. But he was still on New York's payroll for the next 2 seasons. It's largely because of Houston's contract that the NBA introduced the amnesty clause, which I think if a player retires because of injury, or if your player gets injured, you get like money back from their contract. I think the Warriors actually just did that for Klay Thompson's injury that just happened. I think they got some money back for the year he's supposed to get paid on. So that's definitely really good. It says here people always point to this contract as one of the worst ever, but Houston gave the Knicks a great return of investment for the first 2.7, let's just say 2.5 years of his 6-year extension. So he averaged a 20 point per game for those 2 seasons. So that's definitely not bad. So like I'm saying, not a bad pickup, and it probably would have turned out to be okay, but it's definitely something you can't really call is injury. Obviously being a Blazer fan, having some of the biggest injuries to big time players of all time, Bill Walton, Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, even Sam Bowie had a lot of injuries. So we definitely know a lot about that. But hey, you gotta take chances on people, and sometimes it just doesn't really work out that way. Speaking of taking a chance on big time players with big time injuries, Gilbert Arenas signed in 2008 a 6-year, $111 million deal. That is crazy. It says here from 2004 to 2007, Arenas averaged 27.7 points per game and was an all-star in all 3 seasons. That is amazing. But we all know Gilbert Arenas' story. Obviously, besides the sort of off-court antics of Gilbert Arenas, he was injury-plagued in 2007-2008, and he opted out of the final year of his contract with the Wizards, forcing them to shell out the big bucks to keep him in town. That is crazy. But injuries and an infamous firearm incident limited him to 55 games before trading him to Orlando. He played for Orlando. I actually don't really remember that. That's pretty crazy. I don't remember him getting traded because of that stuff, but 6 years, $111 million. Like, obviously, in today's NBA, that's not very crazy. That's like a good, solid player gets paid $100 million plus. I mean, we were just talking about that in the contract free agency video. Joe Harris has a $75 million contract, so it's not super crazy. But obviously, in the early 2000s era, like we were just talking about, Allen Houston made a $100 million contract in 2001. That's like a superstar type of player contract in today's NBA. So that's definitely really crazy. But again, not really counting that one, at least in my opinion. But kind of the same sort of area. Chris Bosh for the Miami Heat. In 2014, he signed a 5-year, $109 same senses as like amazing type of talented players. It's just so sad. And that was all on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats, but he could not stay healthy in Orlando. He averaged 16 points per game for the 200 games he was able to play in Orlando. So definitely not horrible, but obviously not to the sort of ascension that they were hoping for in Orlando to have a sort of a big-time signing. But again, that one doesn't really count. Injuries, I don't think those would really count. I want to get into the juicy ones that are just absolutely terrible. Okay, yeah, I just found one. As we all know, 2016 was a terrible year for a lot of teams, for a lot of different contracts, and the one that I first saw was in 2016, the Portland Trailblazers gave Evan Turner a $70 million contract for 4 years. My God, that was crazy. This was definitely when Evan Turner was still, known as, a top 5 pick in the draft, being a good sort of ball facilitator, which Portland obviously needed at the wing position at that time. He could have been a really good defender, could have been a really good scorer, this, that, and the other. And then he sort of just never got better. He was just the same player for 5 years straight. Obviously, being a Blazer fan, I watched the whole entire Evan Turner era of basketball, and I was actually at a Blazer game when he was on the Celtics the year before, and he hit a game winner on Portland. I'm like, oh wow, we got that guy. That must be pretty good. This, that, and the other. But it's definitely not a bad signing. I'm glad he was on Portland, but my God, not for $70 million. Let me tell you that. That was really bad. And on the same year, Ian Mahimi, I know how to say his last name, Mahimi, signed in 2016 as well a 4-year, $64 million contract with the Washington Wizards. That's definitely a very, very bad one. But with Evan Turner going to Portland, gave us the trade to trade him for Kent Bazemore, which gave us the trade to trade for Trevor Ariza, and which eventually gave us the trade to trade for Robert Covington. So, in theory, Evan Turner turned into Robert Covington for Portland. So, you can't say it was all bad. That's not a bad return, in my opinion. But definitely at the time, that was terrible, man. Portland made so many bad contracts, and they signed Evan Turner to a big contract. Who else? Alan Crabb. My God, remember Alan Crabb? He should definitely be on this list. Myers Leonard as well. We overpaid for him. Those 3 big guys, man. They really hurt us a lot. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. This player played for Philadelphia, signed a 5-year, $80 million contract, which, can we just all say that basketball players are just insanely overpaid? They are paid to play a game. They're paid to play a game at a high level, but for that much money, man, it's lucrative. It's crazy. But Elton Brand signed a 5-year deal for $80 million. And when you think of Elton Brand, you think, oh, well, that's not a bad signing. Good sort of power forward center player, really good hustle, this, that, and the other. Well, this is not the sort of LA Clipper prime Elton Brand. This is the Philadelphia 76er Elton Brand, which, if you didn't know, wasn't anything too crazy. On his contract year, he averaged 17.6 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. But on the new team of the 76ers, he averaged 13 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 1 block a game. So definitely nothing super crazy. But is 13 points and 8 rebounds worth $80 million for 5 years? I would say no. Especially during the time it was signed. It was probably sometime during the early 2000s, if I do remember. So that's definitely not a very good one in my opinion. I also think he was very injury prone as well. I know in the Clippers he played amazing. He was definitely the best player on that team for a while. But when he signed this new contract in Philly, he didn't really do so well. But he definitely turned that around, because now he's the GM for Philly. He's the GM, right? I think he's the GM. Doing very assist during his time. Man, that is crazy. The 2016 spike in the salary cap from $70 million to $94 million came to a horrendous time for the LA Lakers. Man, this is also a player I think that doesn't really count because of injury, but we can still talk about it. Penny Hardaway, Penny Hardaway, signed a 7-year, which is crazy. I don't think you're allowed to sign players for more than 5 in today's NBA, but this was a 7-year contract for $87 million to the Phoenix Suns. That's pretty crazy. When he was his first year playing for the Suns, he averaged 12 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, and 1 steal. Yeah, that's definitely not where you want Penny Hardaway to be, but Penny Hardaway probably would have gone down as one of the best and most skilled point guards of all time if he would have stayed healthy, in my opinion. Obviously, if he also stayed with Shaq his entire career, they probably would have won a couple championships in Orlando, but obviously with him going down, and because of him going down, Shaq saw that, oh wow, I cannot win here, so I got to jump ship. Definitely didn't turn into the player that we were at least all hoping he would be. If you have Netflix, and I think it might be still on there, there's a really, really, really dope Orlando Magic documentary on there. I really highly recommend it. If you're a big basketball fan, it's definitely a lot of fun to watch. It just sort of talks about their sort of their best years and sort of how the Orlando Magic came to be, and it talks about like their finals run against the Houston Rockets, and it's a lot of fun to hear like the stories from the players and stuff like that. How they had that, what they experienced and stuff. It was really cool. But here's an interesting one. And what year is this? In 2006, Ben Wallace signed a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Chicago Bulls, and averaged 6 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks. So, I mean, Ben Wallace, we all know as being one of the sort of best defensive players in the NBA, definitely at that time. It sort of reminds me a lot of like a new-aged Dennis Rodman. Think of more like a Draymond Green without the sort of offensive capability, definitely, and was probably one of the biggest sort of helpers to the Detroit Pistons winning that 2004 or 2003 championship, beating the best team in the league, LA Lakers. It's definitely easy to think that, maybe he would have deserved this contract, but averaging 5 points per game, like 5.9 points per game for a player making $60 million in the 4 years that he played there, that is crazy. That's definitely not what he should be doing. I wonder if he also, oh wow, he was actually 32 years old when they gave him this contract. Yeah, I'm always very, very, very cautious on signing older players, like over the year of, like, if you're over 30 years old, once you hit that sort of 33-year-old mark, at least for any normal player, let's discredit LeBron, like KD, Kawhi, like those superstar players. Obviously, you give them as much money as possible for as long as they're in the NBA. Here's another New York Knicks one. I think this was, in 2010, the sort of big-time free agency era of him and LeBron and Chris Bosh, that sort of big sort of free agency time. Amari Stoudemire signed to the New York Knicks for Chicago. He averaged 4 points and 8 rebounds and 3 assists. Not bad, but we all know Joakim was more of like a basketball analytics type of player than like a stat line player. So he played very well, but he just didn't, produce numbers. But on the Knicks, he averaged 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Also, injuries as well plagued this man. I think he I don't even know how many games he played, honestly. Let's see here. We all know Joakim Noah being like one of the best defensive centers during that time. Being obviously with the Derrick Rose Bulls era of basketball. I think he also won Defensive Player of the Year 1 year or so. That was definitely a crazy time, but dude, I don't think this dude played more than like a season, maybe 2 for the Knicks while he was under contract. That was crazy bad. Again, the injury, and plus the way the NBA plays now, defensive-minded centers like that. Obviously, we have defensive centers like Rudy Gobert, but Rudy Gobert can still give you 15 to 20 points per game and still, have an amazing production on defense. Joakim was just more of obviously a defensive-minded player, which, again, in today's NBA, you can't really do nowadays. But yeah, I think Joakim now, I don't know if he's still on the Clippers, but I'm sure he's still a very smart player, sort of like a good sort of veteran to have around a good team like the Clippers. So, good on him for getting the bag. I'm pretty sure he got a lot of money from that. But see, I feel really bad about these contracts because like they're all just injury contracts. Like that's so bad. It's so crazy. In 2016, again, very crazy year for contracts. The Memphis Grizzlies signed Chandler Parsons to a 4-year, $94 million contract. His contract here at Dallas, he averaged nearly 14 points per game, 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Not bad, but for his new team, the Memphis Grizzlies, he only averaged 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. That's very, very, very crazy. It says here Chandler Parsons' contract is the Mona Lisa of terrible deals that were handed out in the summer of 2016. Now, see, I don't want to say that because, again, injuries, but I will say, while he was healthy, it's not like he was doing anything very crazy for Memphis as well, but he definitely just fell out of it, man. That's definitely super crazy. Chandler Parsons was always like a player I would really want on the team. He was a very, very, very good three-point shooter, really good scorer, could defend really well. He was just a very all-around type of player. Kind of reminded me if like an off-brand version of Chris Middleton. Like if Chandler Parsons was juiced up, he'd be like a Chris Middleton type player, But that's definitely very crazy. The Grizzlies made Parsons the 15th highest paid player in the league for the 2016-2017 season. That's definitely really crazy. I thought it would be higher than that, but oh god. Oh wow, they're just gonna be talking about the Knicks from now on. So if you're like a Knicks fan, I really do apologize, but it says here, and this is like the title of this one, it's called The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Isaiah Thomas, which if you didn't know, these sort of dark ages of Knicks basketball after Patrick Ewing retired, and that also thing happened. Isaiah Thomas was running the show in the New York Knicks office, and let's just go over some of the things he's done. They gave Eddie Curry a 6-year, $60 million contract, which he only averaged 15 points and 5 rebounds. Now, if you don't know, that's a very long amount of time. Maybe the number doesn't sound so big, but again, this is like very early, maybe even late 2000s type of money, which money like that is, very normal during that time, but he was sort of like their star player during that time, but Eddie Curry was a very unhealthy player and never really got into like very core fundamentals of basketball. So also they gave Jared Jeffries a 5-year, $30 million contract, averaging only 4 points per game and 4 rebounds. That's a pretty big one. They gave Jerome James a these were sort of just injury type of players, so it is kind of sad. But again, some of these were just very bad decisions on some parts. But hopefully you guys liked the video. If you did like the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 5K subs, and I'll see you again in my next video very, 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 very soon. Alright guys,